Have you ever felt like you're living on two different timelines at once? Like you possess an ancient, weary wisdom in your bones, but at the same time you're a teenager just figuring things out for the very first time? If you have, and if you're queer, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's this strange paradox of our existence, the way we are forced to grow up faster, and yet somehow we also grow up much, much slower. Let's talk about the faster part first. It starts with the quiet hypervigilance of a child learning to read a room not for fun, but for survival. You learn to scan for the slightest shift in tone, a flicker of disapproval, the way a joke lands about someone like that. You become an unwilling anthropologist, decoding the hidden rules of your tribe. I remember being about 9 years old, sitting on the shag carpet of my family's living room. A movie was on, and a male character who was coded as gay made a brief, flamboyant appearance. He was the punchline. I remember not the joke itself, but the air in the room. I felt the ripple of laughter from my relatives, a mix of amusement and discomfort. And in that moment, without any words, I learned something. I learned there was a part of me that had to be hidden, a part that could make me the punchline. My heart felt suddenly very old. I was 9, but emotionally I was calculating, assessing, and building a fortress. This wasn't just at home, of course. School was a living laboratory. The locker room, for instance, became a space of calculated invisibility. You learn how to shower with your back to the wall, how to change clothes in a way that reveals nothing, how to deflect the casual banter about girls with a vague, non-committal grunt. Every interaction was a performance, a tightrope walk over a canyon of potential humiliation. This is the faster growth. It's an accelerated course in emotional intelligence, in code switching, in biting your tongue until it bleeds. You learn to grieve in private for a self you can't yet be. You become an expert in secrets. Carrying a secret that fundamental to your being ages you. It's a weight, and carrying weight builds a strange kind of strength, a premature maturity. While other kids were worried about scraped knees, we were worried about existential erasure. That's growing up fast. And what is the cost of such rapid, forced maturity? It's a childhood laced with anxiety. It's a sense of isolation that feels like a physical wall between you and your peers. You watch them navigate the world with a lightness you can't access. They seem to be speaking a language of innocent assumptions that you've already unlearned. You become a tiny, weary adult in a child's body, fluent in the language of fear before you've even mastered multiplication tables. This constant vigilance has a name: minority stress, the psychological toll of being part of a stigmatized group. It's not one big trauma, but 1,000 tiny paper cuts every day. The casual slur you overhear, the way a politician talks about family values, the absence of anyone like you in the stories you consume. Your mind is always on high alert. This chronic stress rewires your brain, carving deep pathways of anxiety and fear that can last a lifetime. It's a silent burden shaping you in ways you're unaware of until much later. But then, there's the other side of the coin, the slower part. While our minds were aging in dog years, our hearts were often kept in a state of suspended animation. All that energy spent on survival, on monitoring and hiding, was energy that couldn't be spent on the simple, clumsy, beautiful rites of passage of youth. Think about it. The first crush. For so many of us, it wasn't a note passed in class, but a terrifying, secret ache. The first date. Maybe it didn't happen until we were 23, in a city far from home where we could finally breathe. The first kiss wasn't a fumbling moment behind the bleachers, but a planned, nerve-wracking event in a university dorm room, decades after our peers had already had theirs. I have a vivid memory from when I was 20. I was studying in the university library, and I looked out the window to see 2 boys, probably 17, holding hands as they walked across the campus lawn. They were laughing, carefree, and it hit me with the force of a physical blow. Not jealousy exactly. It was a profound sense of temporal displacement. I was older, supposedly more mature, wrestling with complex theories in books. But in that moment, my heart was younger than theirs. They were living a chapter I hadn't even been allowed to open yet. I felt a deep, hollow longing for a teenagehood I never had. This developmental delay wasn't just about romance either. It was about identity itself, the simple act of choosing a haircut or an outfit. For our straight peers, these were expressions of rebellion or belonging. For us, they were risks. Every choice was weighed against a complex algorithm of safety. Is this too much? Does this signal something I'm not ready to defend? We couldn't just try on identities. The stakes were too high. So we wore camouflage, blending in, our true colours packed away for a future we weren't even sure would come. This feeling of temporal displacement is a hallmark of the queer experience. It's like being a time traveller in your own life. You have memories of the wise, cautious person you had to become, haunting your present, and the ghost of the carefree teenager you never were tugs at your sleeve, asking for its turn. It's a disorienting way to live. This is what we mean when we talk about a second adolescence. It's this period, often in our 20s or 30s, where we finally get to experience all those firsts. The first time we hold a partner's hand in public without fear. The first time we say, "I love you," and mean it, to someone the world told us not to. The first time we go to a queer bar and feel that dizzying sense of belonging. This chasm extends into our ambitions. While others dreamed freely, we were preoccupied with a more fundamental question: would we be allowed to become anything at all? This uncertainty stunts growth, making us more hesitant. We couldn't just leap into the future. We had to build complex contingency plans first. This process delayed our development, adding another layer to the experience of growing up much slower. And it's awkward and messy and beautiful. We're adults with jobs and responsibilities, navigating the emotional landscape of a 14-year-old. We might be making rookie relationship mistakes at 30. We might be figuring out our style, our community, our way of loving, long after our straight friends have settled down. We are growing up slower because we are finally watering a part of ourselves that has been in drought for years. So you see, it's not a contradiction. The two timelines are intrinsically linked. We grew up faster because the world demanded it. We became old souls in young bodies because we had to be emotionally nimble to survive. But that very survival mechanism, that fortress we built, kept our vulnerable, authentic, romantic selves locked away, protected, but frozen in time. And within this second adolescence, there is a strange cocktail of emotions. There is pure, unadulterated joy, the giddiness of a first real date at 28, the thrill of finding a song that finally, perfectly, describes your love. But it's often tinged with a subtle grief, a ghost of the person who should have had this at 16. It's learning to hold both, the celebration of the now and the quiet acknowledgement of what was lost. It's a bittersweet symphony played out in our hearts. Growing up slower is the act of finally, carefully dismantling that fortress. It's letting the teenager inside us come out and play, to make mistakes, to fall in love clumsily, to be joyfully, unapologetically young. There's a unique grace in this. It's a chance to meet yourself again, to integrate the wise old soul who got you through the hard times with the giddy teenager who is just starting to live. It means our lives don't follow a linear path. They are layered, cyclical. We are always becoming. We rarely do this dismantling alone. This is where community becomes our lifeline. We find our people, other queer folks who speak the same temporal language. They understand the significance of a first that comes a decade late, celebrating your teenage milestones with you in your 30s. They become the chosen family that creates a safe space for that locked-away teenager to finally emerge. In these spaces, we piece together the adolescence we were denied. This non-linear journey shapes us in profound ways. It grants us an incredible capacity for empathy, making us attuned to the hidden pains in others. It gives us a unique appreciation for joy, because we know its absence so intimately. We don't take belonging or love for granted. We fought for it, and so we cherish it with a depth that might be unfamiliar to those who walked a straighter path. So if you ever feel out of sync with your peers, if you feel the weight of years of hiding, and at the same time, the thrill of a first you're having at 35, know that you are not broken. You are not behind. You are simply living a queer timeline, and there is a profound, resilient, and deeply human beauty in that. We are the people who live two lives at once, the old and the new, the fast and the slow.